Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started. Oh, it is 7 o'clock now, right shortly. And as we're doing that, as everybody's jumping on, if you could keep your mic muted, unless our presenters have said, hey, do you want to say anything? Do you want to share anything? It just helps the presentation roll a little bit smoother. So stay on mute. And if you find yourself getting a message from me, it's just because your mic is coming off mute, if that's okay with everybody. So welcome to night number 4 of our multi-species judging learning series. This is hosted in partnership with Lakeland College judging team, and we're excited to see everybody here tonight. I see Will and Carter. Do you have any partners tonight, Will and Carter, or is it just you two?
It's just us tonight.
Just you. Awesome.
Yeah.
The other ones didn't think they needed to show up, so.
Oh, well, you can give them a hard time later.
No, we will, don't worry.
That's okay. So again, welcome everybody. I'm just gonna do a few housekeeping items before we get started. So this is our last series, but that doesn't mean that you have to stop judging. With COVID restrictions changing yesterday, we've seen a lot of volunteer committees get rolling for their regional judging competitions. As well, there might be still some virtual things and some district learning opportunities. So make sure you're checking out the Forage website, as well as reading the monthly scoop, because there's lots of information in there about upcoming regional events. One thing, if you've enjoyed this and you want to put your skills to the test, on March 11th, in partnership with the Canadian Western Judging Competition, Forage Alberta is hosting our provincial level judging competition at Lakeland College on March 11th. It's a Friday. The deadline is definitely fast approaching. It is at the end of the month on February 28th. If you do have any questions, communication for this series have come from Tracy. You can reach out to her, or programs@forhab.com, and we will assist you the best we can. This is new. You've seen the slides, but the bottom part is new for tonight. This is just a quick little snapshot of the day. So March 11th, registration will be between 8:30 and to be switched around, between 8 and 8:30 registration, and the judging will start at 9. I believe that should be a 9, not an 8. Junior intermediates will give reasons following the class. So right after the class, the intermediates and juniors will give their reasons on that class. You will anticipate to judge 8 classes, livestock, and maybe some other things. So I know in this session we talked about silage, that maybe there's some hay, maybe potatoes. It might be something crazy like that too. So there may be some non-livestock classes. Seniors will judge in the morning, and they'll do all their reasons in the afternoon. So that's a little bit different than district or region competitions, but seniors, you're going to want to make sure you write good notes, and all reasons will be given orally. So I know there were some questions about that. There'll be placings classes as well as reasons classes, but you won't know which class that is until you get there that day. Following that, in between, after well, the seniors are giving reasons, I guess the juniors and intermediates can go explore Lakeland College and see what they have to offer at their open house. And then there's a banquet and awards that the location might change between now and then, so it says to be announced, but when you register, you will get all those detailed information. Just a little reminder before I go into the sponsors, this is a competition. So there will be spotters, and there'll be people to help if you're really stressed out about this, but it is a competition. So there won't be the learning sessions like you're receiving tonight as part of the day. That makes sense. So our sponsors, before I kick it over to Will and Carter, we can't do things like this without our sponsors, host events. Our Diamond Clover sponsor is the government of Alberta. We really appreciate their annual contribution to 4-H. Emerald level clovers are Alberta Recycling, EltaLink, ATB, Calgary Stampede Foundation, CPA Education Foundation, and UFA. Our gold clover sponsors are AFSC, PV Mart, Save on Foods, and our silver clover sponsor is Brant. Bronze clover sponsors, mouthful, our Alberta beef producers, Bayer, Gas Alberta Inc., Lakeland College, who is hosting this series, as well as our lead in multi-species judging competition, MCS Net, Nutrien, Viterra, and our 4-H Canada national sponsor is also Bayer. So thank you to all of them. So before I kick it over to Will and Carter, just a few housekeeping. Please stay on mute unless you are going to ask a question or you've been called on to ask, to answer a question or something like that. You can put your comments and questions in the chat. We will keep the chat to mainly questions, placings if you judge a class tonight, questions about the class to keep things rolling. We are following the 4-H Alberta Code of Conduct, so just respect everybody, that everybody has come here to learn tonight. And if you have any technical questions, you can message me down in the chat. My name is Suzanne, and it says 4-H Alberta behind it. So you can ask me those technical questions. And anything else that you would like to know, maybe about provincial judging or these sessions, are all recorded. Just a reminder, all recorded, and they're all up on the YouTube channel. So you can watch each level, the beginner, the advanced beginner, and the advanced ones too. So if you want a little bit more judging, it's all on the 4-H Alberta YouTube channel, as well as all the judging resources are on the website. Okay, with that, welcome Lakeland College judging team, Will and Carter. Nice to see you, troopers, sticking in for all 4 sessions. I'm sure all the 4-H members like having you, and we look forward to tonight.
Okay, here we go. We're good to go now. All right, so this is the 4th and final slideshow. So at the end of this deal, make sure you guys, if you guys have any questions you really want to get an answer to, you better fire them our way. So we'll get on with her here. So I guess we have to pledge. I'm not sure if we have to do that or not, but it's on here.
We can do that for sure. This is a time where everybody can unmute and maybe turn their video on for a quick second, and we will do a 4-H pledge. You guys can lead it, Will and Carter.
I pledge my head to clear
thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, my health to better living, my country, and the world. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So you can go back on mute now. Lots of delay there. That's fun.
Okay, I think we're good now.
I think we got her.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we've already gone over some important things over the past couple of weeks here. So our introduction here, we're gonna work on some ways to improve your judging skills, some more presentation stuff. We're gonna have some confidence, what's past judging, so what makes judging worth your while. We're gonna look at some meat classes. I already accidentally started the presentation on the meat class there, so now you guys know what we're doing. And you're gonna be the judge, so Here we go. So recap here, you brought in your eye and you should know what you're looking for now and wide variety of classes, whether it be cows, silage, hay, sheep, goats, pigs, horses, all that kind of stuff. And we've taught you some new terminology in each one of those species. And we've given you some strategy on how you should take your notes, how you should structure your lower reasons. And with all this new information you guys have found, you guys should feel more confident in the next judging competition. So as you guys become more advanced here, you guys are going to start looking for more fine details. So whether that be looking for details if you guys really good at judging hogs or cattle or horses or something like that, you guys will look for the things that really make an animal or anything. What makes that number in the class? What makes it elite in its own right? Whether it be a cow having the extra quality and the look and the right white parts that makes that cow elite quality, or in a sheep or a pig, or what makes a horse that much better. So, you know, as you guys get older, like I'm not sure we really teach you guys what to provide detail, but the longer you judge livestock or anything, or the longer you're around something, you're gonna start to pick up on the finer details that make something better. Like if you're a race car driver, you're gonna know what it takes to be that much faster, and if you're in the cow lynch, you're gonna know what makes what cow just that much better. Or a horse, what makes that one horse run faster, what gives it an advantage in whatever thing you're doing with that horse. So, you know, looking at finer details is something you guys are gonna have to pick up on your own. But as you guys get older and you guys do more of this stuff, I think it's something that eventually you'll get. You know, not every single one of you might get to that point, but I know a good handful of you guys will. So beyond livestock, like, or even just judging in general, like judging gives you an edge over, I think, every single kid in your height. Well, most of you guys are in elementary school there, be it not a life, just judging livestock gives you guys an edge, I think, is more than you can ever get at a high school or any academic thing. You guys learn how to talk. You guys learn how to judge a class in 12 minutes, write reasons, and give reasons on that class. Tell somebody who's knowledgeable of that topic why you place it that way. And that's more anything in high school or education could give you guys. That is a skill you guys got to use in the future. I think that's what makes judging so well. You know, but it improves your public speaking skills while also give you guys the skills to learn critical thinking and the mindset to be quick on your feet, and gives you guys a little work, gives you guys to become a cool-headed in situations and stuff like that. So I think it's a skill that you guys should really use in the future, because, you know, everyone does it. If you're buying a car, you know, you like one car more than the other. Or if you're buying groceries, why you picked the other brand orange juice over the other one, because, you know, you're always judging. So just being able to develop these skills is something I think you guys should use in the future. So, all right, so consumer decision making here. I guess we're going to touch on this a little bit. I think some of you guys that were at the in-person judging deal there on the weekend, I think there was a little deal on consumer decision making. So, you know, consumer decision making is something that's opposed to judging. Like, there's a class of four things, whether it be a class of barbecues or some candy, or there'll be some phones or maybe a TV. And there's going to be a scenario where, say, Jill's buying 4 TVs and she only has, she's got a budget constraint. She only has $400 and she needs a TV that's the right size, or it needs to have the right amount of cable length or something like that. There's all these different aspects of these TVs, and she has a set parameters that she needs, and not any of the TVs in the class will be exactly what Jill wants. And so that's where you're gonna have to step in there and make a decision, take the information that's given to you in the class and make an informed opinion on why Jill should buy the number 4 TV over the number 1. Because, you know, neither of them have the right specific, or they're not the right type of TV for her, but in the class you got to pick the one that's the best. So, and I think that's something that you guys use in the future. I know we don't do as much consumer decision making classes as we do judging, but it's similar. You know, you just got to use that information they give you to come up with the right one you think that scenario is the best for. I think that's really something that's really good for you guys to learn how to do. It's going to give you guys, an edge into the future. Same with like judging, as I said before. So I don't know, you guys got any questions about consumer decision making? I think you might say you see a couple classes at Provincials maybe, but got any
Will
questions?
and Carter, that's awesome information. And if anybody wants a full training session and some practice classes I'm going to find the link and I'll put it in the chat, but 4-H Alberta does have a learning session on consumer decision making on YouTube. So you can watch that presentation. And then I think the class is honey at the end. So you can look at that.
So yeah, go head over to the 4-H deal there and you guys can learn a little more. Like, I'm not sure how in depth you're going to go on consumer decision making. So I kind of just give you guys what it really is there. So. Yeah, go next. Yes, sir. So meat class. If any of you guys go down to the states to judge the competition, there is dedicated judging teams in college to meat evaluation. So judging meat isn't maybe something you do a lot up here, but it's definitely something that if you really like looking at meat and evaluating the quality of the carcass, I think this is something that has a lot of things you can do. And I know some kids that have went to states and put on some national champion meat evaluation teams. So I think judging meat's it's a good thing to know how to do. So we're judging meat, look for trimness. You don't want it to be too fat or how much on the edge. It should be trimming its look. So trimming is the amount of fat that's left on the steak. Most of the time you're gonna be judging steak. And so you don't want too much on the outside, but you also want some for cooking. You need a little trim for a taste, and that's gonna help you in your ability to cook the meat. And then a big thing we look for is marbling. So the amount of marbling is the fat content that's in the muscling itself. So more marbling, the better that meat's gonna taste. Of course, as an animal gets too fat, they start turning muscle into fat. So that's where the animal started to turn muscle into fat. That's the point where the carcass is over fat, and you're losing some of your core value and muscling from the marbling. But you still want an adequate amount of marbling, but you don't want too much. So yeah, marbling is really just a grain of that meat. When you look throughout the steak, it's that white stuff throughout the steak. That's the marbling. It all is just fat. So that's something you should look for. And then the quality, does it have any like PSE, pale, soft, exudated meat? Is something that happens to pigs or animals when they have a lot of stress. When they have a lot of stress through their handling before they're slaughtered for consumption. So that's not something else. And then you don't want dark colors, like that'll make the meat tough and also dark. It doesn't look good for the consumers when they're wanting to go buy steaks and stuff like that. So, quality is something that's good to look for. Bone size and the overall look of the way the steak is made. So I think someone's not muted there. So if you got a question. Is there? I don't know. When you guys, whoever's got the stuff on there, you guys have to mute it. There, I think you're good now. Thanks for gonna go on. So the grain of the cut, you want the grain of the meat to be horizontal like it is there on the top. Sorry. On the bottom, sorry. Like you don't want fat seams going throughout the meat. Like that's tough. It makes.
Oh, we got a question. Bristol has a question. You want to turn your mic on? You can go ahead and ask.
Bristol's wondering, is there a specific way to place?
To place like
Place what? Like place. What do you know? What do you want
The
to place?
place in class.
Is there a specific way to place the class? Well, there's obviously the way the judge places the class, And I guess when you're at the competition, however the judge places it is the right way. You know, you might disagree with it, but you know, I don't know if there's any specific way to place a class or anything, to be honest with you. So, you know, it's judging is all your opinion and how you like for things, would it be for cows, horses, or a steak. It's whatever one you think is the best. And you guys are gonna make your decision based on the things we're gonna teach you here. So yeah, so hopefully I answered your question there. Yeah, depends on who's judging. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the grain of cut, I know. Like, I guess you don't want like grizzle seams going throughout the steak. Then I guess you want meat that's gonna hold itself together more better. Like, I don't know, depends on the cut too you're judging. Like, prime rib can have a tendency to be a little softer and likes to break apart, whereas a T-bone steak will hold itself together. So it depends on the cut that you're judging too, on what the grain should look like in the meat. So. Yeah. To determine the marbling, like I would say this one here that I got my mouse on, or the one on the left, I would say that's adequate amount of marbling. That's good. And it's almost on the point. If you put any more marbling into it, it's gonna have too much. But you know, I think a steak like that, that's got tons of marbling and look to it. I think that's a steak has a lot that could be good for the consumer. And I also bet that steak's really expensive too, just the way it is. Like that's gonna taste really well with how much it has throughout the meat. And where the stuff on the other side that looks more like steak bits or tougher meat, like doesn't have the amount of marbling that has throughout the cut, you know, and that's gonna make it not taste quite as well. It's gonna make it more tougher. So you might use like that in a stew or something like that, where those stuff is you're gonna eat like a steak or something like that. So okay, oh, we got two. Can you explain marbling?
Yeah, marbling. So the difference between fat and marbling. Marbling is the fat that's in the meat. Like when you eat a steak or a pork chop at home, I know a lot of people like my sister won't eat the fat on the outside because she doesn't like the taste or whatever. Like lots of people don't. But without the marbling inside the meat, like you see on this slide, like kind of dots up the meat or whatever. I guess it looks like it's in between the muscle. That's what you want, right? Because that's where you get your flavor from and all that. So yeah, muscling is the fat in between the muscle. That makes sense, instead of like the fat that would be like covering the muscle.
We call that cover.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, and then a leaner piece of meat would have less marbling in it. So other stuff would be lean, you know, it doesn't have any trim on the outside. So. Yeah. I think we'll move on there.
On the next one. So yeah. So these are 4 pork chops that we have a picture of. We're gonna give you guys a few minutes.
Notice, oh, wait, you go.
Oh, good.
Notice there's no marbling in this though, because it's pork. Pork doesn't marble. So don't say, like, don't come up with the reasons on why you think it doesn't have enough marbling, because pork doesn't marble, because that's just the way pigs are. So, you know, you can judge the trim it has on the outside, but yeah, so just remember that. Same with chicken, they don't marble either. So I'm gonna let you guys judge this class for a little bit here. I think this will be kind of a shorter slideshow, so you guys give you guys, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and then we have a prepared set that Jesse wrote down, and Will's gonna deliver them. So we'll shut our mic off and let you guys have it. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask, and we'll try our best to get you answered here. So Yeah.
we had a question in the chat, does size matter? I think from Josh. So yeah, I think size matters a little bit. Obviously, it's not the number one thing you're looking at. I would probably start with one that doesn't have like too excess fat, because obviously that's not going to taste very good. So yeah, I'd say size matters a little bit because obviously that's more. So yeah.
What if you prefer a fatty steak? The judge like, well, I guess you're just gonna disagree with the judge in that case. So, and that's just judging right there. So. Okay, well, some of you guys are starting to give in your placings here. So I guess that's a good time to, we'll move on then. We'll say, what do we think of the class?
Would you like to say what you think before you see
What Jesse thought? Here, I'll tell you how I think, and then we'll read the reasons Jesse wrote down because she made this slideshow. So I would place this class probably, I would place number 4 first. Then I'd place number 1 and I go 2, 3. So 4, 1, 2, 3. I put 4 first, just, you know, it's trim while still having an adequate amount of fat around the edge. You know, it's got good shape and muscling throughout it. And then number 1's good too. You know, it's got a decent amount of trim on the outside. While still not having like excess amount, you know, maybe you can change up how it's muscly and made. But and I put number 2 third. You know, it's a little lighter on the amount of trim it has and its cookability. But you know, we might way bigger than the one I put in first place. But you know, this might be a little tougher in how it cooks for the consumer. And then I put number 3 last, or 4th, sorry. You know, it gets a little, it's not quite as trim. You know, it's got quite a bit of access covered throughout the entirety of the cut. But I think, you know, it's just excess weight that the consumer has to pay for. But it's still, I think it has the ability to have cookability. You know, the consumer can still cut that off. And I think it'd be still to cook well. But, you know, for you to buy 5 pounds that you're not going to eat is just uneconomical. So that's why I place the class 4, 1, 2, 3. So we'll go to the next slide and we'll see what Jesse wrote for a reason.
I'll have a look here through. So lots of people had 4 in first, it looks like. Yeah, lots of people had them the same way or just about close to the same way. So that's good.
How Jesse placed them, I don't know.
I think Jesse had them a little different. Jesse had them totally just about backwards from Will here.
Did she place my first place last?
Yeah,
She did too. So this is how Jesse placed it here. So she placed it for this class of pork loin chops. I placed a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the following reason. I placed 1 over 2 because it looks, I got pork chop and not like something that was glued together. It had a decent size tenderloin and an adequate amount of fat cover. Placed 2 over 3 because 2 display much more trim piece of meat, as a 1/4 inch of that is a deal. Also not having access to muscle groups. I placed 3 over 4 because it was a much bigger cut of meat. 4 displayed a smaller tenderloin, and overall, overall is a less ideal cut of meat. For those reasons, I placed this classic pork chops 1, 2, 3, 4. Fair enough, Jesse. Fair enough. I won't agree with you on this class, though. Anyways, that's just judging. Anyway, see how these other are we already looking? So here's another class. No, I don't know if we'll judge this one, but we'll just go over it. So, you know, I don't think normally don't judge carcasses at forage, but here's just something for you guys to look at. You know, judging hanging carcasses. I think it's pretty cool. Walking to a freezer, you got 3 carcasses there. Judging about fat covering, trimness, cutability, amount of muscling, and that they have to the carcass. You know, I'd really like judging classic carcasses. I think it'd be really cool. So, you know, this is another way you could see meat here. So, I'm in carcass forage. Well, there you go.
Yeah, you can raise carcass steers, and yeah, they actually do judge them in 4-H deal. So yeah, I've never done that project, but I think that's a really interesting project to do because at the end of the day, the carcasses, that's where we make our money. Whether you're a purebred producer, a commercial producer, you're just raising a 4-H steer. I think that's a pretty important part to even just if you're not in carcass 4-H, but your local butcher shop ends up hanging your steer. I think it's important to at least go look at them and kind of see where the actual endpoint is. Everybody thinks the endpoint is like when you sell your steer, but truly the endpoints when they hang them up on a hook and cut them. So I think that's pretty important for the education piece of 4-H.
If you really want to know how to judge carcasses, go to talk to your butcher or something. They know considerably more about carcasses and meat judging than we do. So
Move to the next one here. So I guess we'll get some questions and then we'll probably have some time. We'll kind of do a quick recap about everything and then maybe talk about a little more about like competition and some competition preparation or whatever. So if anybody has any questions, you can either type them in the chat or turn your mic on and let them fly and we'll kind of do our best to answer.
or you can turn your mic on too and ask a question.
How do you judge canine?
Well, that's for you, Will. I don't know if we've ever done.
I've never
class
judged it.
canine.
I've never judged dogs before.
I think if you were gonna do a canine class, I don't know if it would be in a consumer decision making so much, but it would probably be more of a scenario, I guess.
Like I just that's a lie. I haven't judged a class of
Oh,
dogs.
well, then
It was a class of stock dogs, so it was like cattle dogs. And so I guess she looked for how athletic they were and their muscling and their bone shape and structure and their legs and feet. You know, it's similar, like structure in any animal. So
Yeah.
don't judge the cutest one just because it's first. Or just 'cause you think it's cute. kind of thing.
Obviously, structure is a little different in a dog compared to a cow or a horse. Like they're doing a little different thing. Obviously, a dog is going to run a lot faster than a cow. Yeah, Aiden says depends on the dog's job and breed. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're getting at. Like, obviously, a stock dog compared to like what you see on TV when they judge like breed character is a little different. But yeah, that's kind of all I got.
I'm no Westminster dog show judge, so I don't know. Anyways, any more questions?
Oh, here we go, Matt. What's your favorite thing to judge? I'll go first, I guess. My favorite thing to judge would probably be cattle. I was raised on a farm, I guess mixed farm, but we were mostly cattle, especially now. So yeah, that's kind of my passion to go out and not even so much judge and evaluate cattle, but just look at good cattle and think about good cattle and breeding cattle. So I think about that a lot, and that's kind of what my favorite thing to judge.
I'm about the same too. I do like judging cows, you know, obviously doing pretty much everything I do involves cattle. So whether it be breeding or selecting genetics or anything like that. But my one class I do like judging that's other than, so if I'm at a judging competition and there's one class I do like to judge. I do like judging pigs. I think I find it's interesting. So
Yeah, I like when we're judging cattle. I especially like judging steers. Like I think judging whether it's prospect steers or market steers, I think that's, especially the market steers, I think that's pretty cool because that's kind of the pinnacle of our industry, and that's kind of what we're going for all over the place. So I think if you get asked to judge something like that, or you get a chance to judge a class of market steers, I think that's a pretty big deal for me. We got more up here.
we're talking about carcasses now again.
When judging a carcass, is it based on size or fat, etc.? So yeah, carcass size is actually another thing that we think about a lot, especially with the way we're feeding these cattle now, and we're killing cattle at 16 and 1700 pounds, which ends up being a pretty big carcass. So yeah, carcass size is another important thing. Obviously, you don't want it too big or too small.
Yeah. It costs the same amount of money to run a small carcass across the line than it does to run a big carcass. So I know like Cargill and stuff, they prefer bigger carcasses than small ones because you know they get more money out of it. So
yeah, and then even at certain plants, like they can't hang a certain size of carcass. So yeah, obviously in the real world, it's carcass size is important, and then and when you're judging carcasses, that'd be important too. So yeah. We got more.
biggest steer ever have was 16, 20 or something.
What else we got? My biggest steer I ever had was 1,612 pounds. So yeah, that's pretty big, especially for a 4-H steer. That's like you're hammering on them to get them done fed, but not quite the way they do at the feedlot, or you're maybe not getting the special implants that they get at the feedlot either. So yeah, that's a pretty big steer. What else we got here? I think we maybe missed something. Yeah. So yeah, is there a maximum weight for 4-H steer or a desirable weight? I'd say for a market steer when he's at his end date, yeah, there's definitely a range you need to be in. I think he needs to be over at least 1,200 pounds to be able to win or compete, unless there's nothing else there. But if he's 1,500 pounds and doesn't have any fat cover on him, though, he's obviously not ideal either. So
Yeah, 1,400 pound steers.
yeah, like at a show, you probably want them like kind of, they got to weigh in Canada about 13 and a half to 15 to win up here. Yeah, but with that, they have to have enough fat cover and a lot of other pieces to win too, right? So obviously weight isn't just the thing, but yeah, there is a desirable weight. And for me, that would be over 1,300 pounds and still looking fresh with enough fat cover. So I guess if you guys still have some questions, you can keep typing them in. We'll answer them as we go. But this slideshow is a little shorter, so we're going to kind of go over some stuff from the last slideshows, kind of in our heads that we think is important, I guess. So we're going to start with the way to stand and maybe some what to wear to a competition. Here we go. Here's an important question. Have you ever been grand, champion, or reserve? So yeah, actually this past year myself, I had a black show heifer and a cow that we took to 4-H. We had champion steer, champion female, and a reserve female. And then we took that heifer on for the rest of the summer to a lot of other junior shows. She was reserve female at one. She was reserve provincial 4-H female, actually. Yeah, she was reserve 4-H yearling once. So yeah, we had a pretty good run with her all summer. I think Will's probably had a few.
Had a few good ones too, every now and then too. So I think we won the provincial show once, and done pretty good at some other open shows and stuff too. And then 4-H was always good too. So
yeah, so we'll jump back. We're almost done. Well, we got about 50 minutes left. So where were we? Oh, we were talking about dress first. So when we show up to a competition, obviously a provincial or a Western national competition like that, exhibition or something like that, is maybe a little bit bigger than your club 4-H judging. But still, we want to look professional, because obviously if you're dressed professional, you look professional, you're gonna feel a lot more confident in yourself, as well as you're gonna help to gain the judges' confidence. Or if you're actually judging a show, you're gonna help with your credibility to the crowd and everyone else that's watching you and to the exhibitors. So proper dress for a competition would be at least collared shirts,
good jeans.
Yeah, good dark jeans. Obviously, you don't want them ripped up.
Like everyone's talking about how good they've done 4-H now.
Yeah. We're probably gonna have our belt on. What else? We're probably not gonna have a ball cap on, so we're either gonna go. I don't like to go in a cowboy hat. Really, I think that's kind of, unless you're actually judging a show, that's different. But at a judging competition, I like no hat. We're gonna have your hair kind of doesn't have to maybe have to be done, but it shouldn't be like all messy, like you just got out of bed, right?
At least wash your hair. That should be
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you don't want to look like you just got out of bed, obviously, right?
Depends on the competition too. If you're at, yeah, if you're at any big ones, dress accordingly to the competition. If you're club judging, you can probably wear a shirt, a good shirt, and exhibition, you might have to wear a suit jacket, a tie, and khaki pants.
Yeah, obviously, if you're going to an important competition, you're going to be dressed a little better. Like our team had requirements from our coach there, Bevan. Like all us boys wore our suit jackets, a tie. We didn't wear jeans. I think there was people at the competition that did wear jeans, but we went with dress pants instead. And then it's a little different for girls. Like lots of times girls wouldn't wear a collared shirt maybe, but they dress up
Whatever
in,
girls wear to look nice.
yeah, in a blazer or something like that. Dress pants or jeans, like dark jeans still. So yeah, so obviously something nice, and common sense can come in handy with that too, right? Like if you would wear it around your farm, changing oil on a farm truck, you're probably not going to wear it to the judging competition. So that's where I would go with that. Next up, I just want to touch on like how you're going to stand at a judging competition. So for some of you younger members, maybe it's your first time giving reasons. I know some people will tell you to like take your notes up there if you want. Obviously that's not going to help you get more points, but it might help build your confidence for the first time. So I'll just turn this and we'll show you how to kind of stand, I guess. So you're going to want to stand about like 6 feet from the judge, I guess. So you'd be about here. So I'd like to stand kind of like this, and now you can see me. I was always taught hands behind your back. Good posture, obviously. So everybody's seen that, I guess. And then you're gonna try not to rock like this way much. Like obviously, especially for you guys, if it's your first time or if you haven't done it a lot, you're gonna be nervous. But if you get up there and you're really nervous, our coach told us you're better off to rock back and forth just a little bit because that's less noticeable compared to not rocking this way, right? If you're nervous. So that's another kind of pretty important thing, I think. I think we got a question in the chat here. How do I get it?
We don't.
Oh no. Oh, Aiden has his hand up. That's what it is. Aiden, if you want to turn your mic on and
Me?
type. Yeah, your hand's up on the thing here. Maybe it's back.
I was just wondering if I could explain what my favorite thing to judge is and why.
Repeat the question, please. I couldn't understand you.
Can I explain what my favorite thing is to judge and why?
What your favorite thing is?
Yeah.
Sure, you can go quick.
I like judging sheep just because they're a bit easier than cattle and they're not as big, and I've been raised around sheep for a long time. I think since I was 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah, like a lot of people, if you grow up around them, then obviously you're more confident, right? Like if you're looking at them every day and stuff, that's how me and Will are way more comfortable looking at cattle. And that's with these other species, the more you do and the more these competitions, the more you get exposed to, the easier it is to understand structure, not just in your species that you grew up with, but with like everything else, right? Like at the end of the day, when you look at a sheep skeleton compared to a cow skeleton, and you actually look at them and think about what's there, they're pretty similar. So, and the way that muscle hangs on there is pretty similar a lot of the time too. So that can actually help you with your own species. Dallas and Bristol have a question. You want to turn your mic on there if you have a question?
Yes, we can. How do you judge a calf to get to success? How do you judge a calf at first to see how it will do?
Like to pick one for forage, you mean? Like to pick one that you think is going to win in the end? Okay.
Yeah.
Look at structure on calves, really good.
Yeah, obviously when they're little, I always figured, like my dad always said, if they have a structure problem when they're 600 pounds and it's pretty noticeable, it's going to get really bad when that steer is 1380 and he's fat and hot and heavy, right? So obviously the bigger you get, the tougher it is to walk. Just like I know my mom and dad, as they get older, they're a little slower than me. So it's the same as in these cows and in these steers or a calf that you're picking.
And then management, you can pick a real good one. You don't know how to manage that animal, you're not going to win. So I don't put the work in too. Like elbow grease works real well, really, really good if you want to win. So managing that animal and you're out there doing the daily stuff too.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing where judging comes in handy too, right? Is for you guys as you guys move on into 4-H, and a lot of you are pretty young, so you have, I don't know, like probably 6, 7, 8 years left or more. So that can come in a lot of handy when you walk out into your own pen or you walk to your neighbors or whatever to go pick a calf. Like judging come in handy a ton for selecting the calf you think you need to try and win, whether it's your club or at least achieve your goals, whether that's, and your goals don't always have to be to win in 4-H or wherever you're showing either too, right? Like your goal can be to, maybe you set a goal this year to have your steer finished, or maybe it's your first steer, so you set a goal to have your steer really, really quiet, so he's at least fun to show on show day. Because at the end of the day, if you can't even get him shown, your show day is supposed to be fun. So if you can't even get him quiet and get him to the show and at least have fun with him and be fourth in class and still have fun, like that's probably not a very good year, and you're probably not going to want to come back. So if you can do a good job getting him quiet and stuff, you can have a lot of fun, whether you're first or fourth. So I think Aiden's got another question, so you can go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, in that you just covered it. I was going to say that based off of best conformational standards.
Yeah, confirmation plays a big role, but obviously if you're younger and you're not, it's a little easier to get them quiet too when you're big and strong, you're 18 or whatever. But I know, like for my first year, we just went out and picked one he was a decent calf, and he ended up actually winning because we got lucky, but we just picked him because he was quiet too. So that's a pretty important thing for younger members, I think, to start to build some interest and stuff. So what else can we go over? Time.
Getting close there.
What else?
I don't know. I feel like we kind of covered most of it over the past couple of weeks here.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions or questions about whether it's the
questions about judging too?
Judging, provincials. Dallas and Bristol maybe have a question. You guys can turn your mic on. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, my sister just confused me.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
It's okay. Will and Carter, my computer crashed in that, so I joined my daughter's computer, so I don't have my wrap-up slideshow or anything like that. Or if people were chatting me directly, I don't think I was getting those either. So, did you have anything else on your list?
I think we covered it here.
I think we got the slideshow down. This was a little bit shorter than the other ones, but
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we got some pretty good questions today. If anybody has anything else, go ahead and send them our way. And if not, yeah, I guess we'll jump off and let you guys get back to your day.
I would add in there, you give some really good tips about standing, being confident, dressing for success, all of that kind of stuff. I would just add in there, you're going to get better at judging the more you do it. So the first time out, just try to go in there and make sure you're seeing the class and following your reason structure and really get those things down pat. And so I'm sure Will and Carter have judged a ton of classes. And sometimes they were probably backwards and sometimes they were bang on. But the more practice you get, the better judge you will become.
Yeah, it's just like anything. I know gone up there before and you get out of the room and you're like, oh, that felt really good. I think I had those right. And it's maybe not your species or not your day even. And I know at agribition, I put a class of dairy cows totally backwards. And then I put a class of horses completely backwards, and you go out and you feel pretty good. And then you get the officials back and you're like, oh, I don't know what I was doing. I just made myself look really dumb, but it doesn't matter, right? You have to build confidence somehow. And the only way you can do that is by kind of getting up there and saddling up and kind of get after it. So just doing it. Yeah, it's like anything. You're not going to get better if you don't do it. So
Yeah, for sure. I see the comment, what is your experience in provincial judging? We definitely want that to be a positive experience. We've never included all ages. Usually provincial judging is only for seniors. And that's why we're going to challenge them a little bit by having them do their reasons in the afternoon and giving an opportunity for juniors and intermediates to do it right after the class while it's fresh. So it's a brand new thing for 4-H Alberta. I know in the past at a provincial level, 4-H members, maybe Will and Carter, not even in your day, but when I was a 4-H member, you had to give a set of reasons on a microphone in front of your peers and everybody in an auditorium. So we want to challenge you at provincial judging, but we also want to set you up for success in the classes by being well prepared through these learning sessions. There's a lot of good information. So if you do have a chance, go watch the other ones, replay these ones, and be pretty prepared.
yeah, the best thing you can do when you show up is be confident and do your best and see what happens, I guess. We got a question maybe.
I actually meant what was Will Carter's or the Lakeland leaders' experience for provincial judging.
Go ahead.
Well,
Like, give you
I don't know what Bevan's done. I was supposed to go to provincial judging a couple times, but provincial judging was canceled every time I was supposed to go. So, because not enough kids want to do it. So, yeah.
You got canceled because of COVID too. I mean,
Yeah, COVID, and then whatever. Not enough senior kids wanted to go, so they just canceled it. So I didn't go. Never got to go to provincial judging.
yeah, I've never actually been either. I haven't been in 4-H that long, and then my first year I kind of got into it. My second year wasn't really into judging yet. I just kind of wanted to really try and I kind of set some big goals for our district and club shows, just trying to really win those. Went out and kind of really purchased some good cattle and tried to take care of that. And then the next year, I kind of got a little more interested in the judging side and everything else, all the skills competitions. And that was 2020. And then all of a sudden, we got to March and not a lot of fun happened anywhere for anybody. So that's been my experience so far with that. So yeah, I've never been. So you guys are pretty lucky that you guys have the opportunity at this age too to get out there and to get out there and get started, because I think starting early gives you a pretty big advantage when you get to be our age. I know if I would have started at that age and had the opportunity to go to provincials and stuff and compete and learn from senior members, I'd probably be a lot better off than I am today for sure. So it's a pretty big opportunity for young 4-Hers, I think.
Yeah, we want to encourage them to keep on judging. So when you get to Lakeland College, you can join that judging team. And through those experiences, you do get to travel to agribition, potentially out east to Guelph, and a few competitions here in Alberta for sure.
Next year, we're actually going to do a trip to the States too. So that might
Oh,
start
nice.
some for Lakeland too. So
Awesome. So if you keep judging, practice, junior, intermediate members, and even senior members, there is opportunity at college level, and definitely opportunity to travel on those judging teams with your skills that you learned through sessions like this. So we're right at that, pretty much at that 8 o'clock mark. Thank you, Will, Carter, Jesse, and Annalise too. They're not here. You'll have to give them a hard time for not coming to the last session, but we appreciate your guys' time and the rest of your team, because you're busy students learning in the classroom, and adding this to your plate as well. So we appreciate you joining us for the last 4 Wednesdays. And we hope to see everybody at Lakeland College on March 11th. Remember, the deadline is the 28th. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions and seek all the resources. So all the videos and all the written resources as well, they're all available at your fingertips. And even if you Google livestock judging, you'll come up with some unique things as well. So thank you again, Will and Carter. Thank you, Lakeland College and our 4-H Alberta sponsors, and hope to see you at Provincial Judging. Lots of thank yous in the chat there for you guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you
See ya.
sometime down the road.